Hey guys, what's going on? Tyrauku here. Today, we're going to do a video that hopefully a lot of you find some kind of value in, and hopefully you have one or both of these champions. That'd be pretty awesome. So, what I want to do, and this is the first time I've done a video kind of like this, but I want to directly compare Rae and Big Un as nuke champions. So, let me pull up a website real quick, raid.guide/en, and let me compare Rae. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we will go ahead and compare Rae to Big Un. So what I want to show you guys is the multipliers of both of these champions. And what I'm going to do throughout this comparison is we're going to compare these champions in the Doom Tower. They're both magic affinity, so we don't have to worry about any affinity differences or anything like that. So that's awesome. Their abilities, here's the multipliers between the two. We have a 5.3 versus 1.9. The big ones I want to compare are these A2 abilities. Mostly, I'm looking forward to Big Un possibly switching out to be my arena nuker instead of Rae. But these A2 abilities are probably going to be what's causing the most damage, at least from a lot of the content in the game, I believe. This looks like it causes a lot of damage, the Banish with 5.3 attack, but I'm pretty sure this one actually does more damage from Rae. So I'm going to test these both out, see which one seems to do the most damage. We're going to test it with targets under the debuff, so on and so forth. Very similar multipliers, but their base stats are pretty different, so this is going to affect the gearing. Now, their A1, obviously, Big Un's A1 is better, especially if you gear him with a 100% crit, which is just how you're going to gear him anyways. Now, to get a fair comparison between these two champions, they're both magic affinity, like I mentioned. They both benefit from accuracy. So what I've done is I've built them with the exact same masteries. They have the exact same masteries, like I said. Let's go and look at them. So they're exact same there, no differences. And I'm not going to use any bottom row accessory pieces on them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the exact same gear because it's not really a fair comparison. If you have two champions with different base stats and then we try to equalize their total overall stats, that's not really a good comparison because Big Un, if you look at his base stats, you'll see that he has a base attack of 1575 and a base speed of 104. Okay, so obviously the exact same gear taken from Rae and put onto Big Un is going to give him more speed and more attack overall. Whereas Rae, she's looking at 1222 and 98 speed. So you can obviously see there's no reason to try to even them out as far as stats. I feel like that's not a very good comparison. So let's go ahead and jump in here. Let's go ahead and go into this Doom Tower first. I'm just going to do the very first stage of Doom Tower hard, just so we can get a decent comparison. I'll do a few runs and see how Rae looks as far as damage. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to try to get like the most damage max potential out of these champions. All I want to do is have an increase or decrease defense and weaken and an increase attack. So we're just going to use these two buffs, decrease defense, weaken, increase attack from Arbiter. So it doesn't matter who's the leader, nothing like that. It's going to be as close to the same test as possible. I'm going to do a few tests in the Doom Tower, and then we will jump over to the arena. I'll do a few matches there, do several matches to try to get a good comparison because the arena is going to be the most variable. Most of the teams I will one shot with these champions, I'm sure. So I want to try to get a fair comparison. So let's look at this. I'm going to keep some notes on the side on the waves and about how much damage Rae does. So this A2 ability, which is what we're going to be focusing on here. I'll go ahead and use all their abilities, but the A2 hits for 130, 108. So we'll just round it at 120,000 damage. So we go ahead and leave this battle. We'll replay it, do the exact same thing. I want to do it in one-time speed just so we can actually see what's going on here. So her A3 hit for, looks like about 80,000, but I'm going to replay that because I didn't really get a good visual of that. I want to use her A2 one more time to see if we're still seeing that about 120,000 damage or so. 120, 79, yeah, so about 120,000. We'll just call it 120 for now. They do have Helm Smasher, so it's going to be a little bit skewed. Sometimes they're going to proc the Helm Smasher, sometimes they're not, but that's what we'll leave it at. So now let's try her A3 ability real quick, see what that's looking like, what kind of damage is being dealt from there. Now her A3 does get used on auto, so we'll go ahead and do this. We're looking at 80, 70, so let's call it 75,000. I think that's a pretty fair estimation. So 75K from the first attempt. We'll redo this one more time with the A3, and then we'll do it twice with the A1 ability just to get a good idea of what Rae's abilities bring. And then we'll jump her into the arena. So 160, about the same, average probably about 80,000, I'd say. Like I said, the Helm Smasher procs are going to make a big difference. whether they proc or not, because that ignores an extra 25% of target's defense, I believe. We got the decreased defense, and that's not going to be applied to everyone either, unfortunately. So our A1 ability, we're looking at 36, 20, 50. So let's just call it at 40,000, 45,000, somewhere around there. So her A1 hit for 45, her A3 hit for about 75, and her A2 hit for about 120,000. Now, when it comes to Rae and Big Un, a big difference between them is their cooldown differences. So we'll get into a little bit more of a comparison, but Rae has some pretty long cooldowns on her abilities. Now, I haven't done any of this comparison whatsoever myself. Like I literally just got Big Un's masteries today. So this is all a blind comparison to me. But we got a 6-turn cooldown, a 4-turn cooldown, and well, obviously no cooldown because it's an A1 ability. And then for Big Un, we have a 7-turn, which books down to 5-turn cooldown. His A2, which is a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty quick. So we got faster cooldown on the A3, a pretty good cooldown on his A2 as well. So actually, they're actually not too far apart as far as cooldowns. They both have fairly long cooldowns. Now, keep in mind, I don't have him fully booked, so his damage is going to be kind of skewed, but his A2 is fully booked, so we will get a good damage comparison from there. Now, let me jump into the arena. Keep in mind, it's going to be easier to speed tune Big Un as compared to some Rae's speed tune, just because of how Big Un's base speed is a little bit higher. So I'm going to pick this team right here. Hopefully, I don't one-shot him. I'm just going to do decrease defense and decrease attack from the Madame. I don't really want Lydia bringing anything because she'll just make me hit even harder. So hopefully, we do not kill these enemies here. We're going to turn to 1x speed. I'm pretty sure we're just going to one-shot everybody, though. Let's see. We hit everybody for 100, 150 a few times, 90. So the arena, the A2 was, we'll say, let's see what her total damage was. She did 295. We'll have to get another look at that because that was several differences throughout their hits. Let's see if one of these teams, I can probably outspeed these people. So we'll turn this to 2x, let everybody do their thing here. Okay, looks like I'm not actually outspeeding these people. So let me go ahead and switch to a different match. Well, it makes it a little bit more difficult when you're not winning the speed battle there. All right, here's a good example. Like I said, though, this is going to be very variable because of the fact that different teams are going to take more or less damage than others. So we'll do everything here. We may be able to hit this team again, especially if we weak hit on Candrafon. So we hit for 111. I don't know if I said 70 or 170. It's hard to see, but pretty solid. 110K, we'll call it there. But definitely very, very solid hits, to say the least. Let me do it one more time to get a good example. Whenever it breaks up the numbers like that, it's kind of hard to see because there's so many digits on the screen. It's hard to see how much each is actually hitting for. So user A2 again. We can definitely redo this team, though. 119, 130. So yeah, 110, 115, maybe 120. We'll call it around there somewhere. So this is a good team to test it against. So whoever this player is, Mr. Yeah, I can't read that name. But this is a good team to test it against because we have a Skull Crown where we're not going to have to worry about killing her. And I believe Tron is actually in the clan. Yeah, he's actually in the Coliseum 10. So Tron, if you would have had Skull Crown, I would have hit your team here. I'll hit his team later on, though. I'm kind of surprised to see him, honestly. But all right, let's go ahead in here and switch Rae's gear with Big Un and put the exact same stuff on him, I mean. So Rae's stats, 4,080 attack, 181 speed, 208% crit damage. So we're not trying to min-max. We're not trying to like get the most stats whatsoever out of them. We're just trying to have a apples to apples as close we can comparison with essentially the same gear. Obviously, if your Ogren Tribe accessories are significantly better than your Dark Elves, that may make your decision a little bit different. But as far as the exact same gear, this is how it's going to look. So on Rae, 4,000, 181. So biggest thing is going to be the attack, honestly. So let's see what the attack looks like when we put the exact same gear onto Big Un. We're just going to go to the fitting room, and then she has a full Savage piece as well as a helmet and chest plate from the speed set. So, like I said, they have the exact same masteries, so nothing should be different whatsoever when it comes to the masteries, extra damage from anywhere in that set. Now, honestly, I'm really hoping that Big Un comes out to be the biggest damage dealer here. Hopefully he comes out to be on the winning side of this comparison because I did spend quite a bit of time running his masteries, of building him up, getting excited that he's going to do better. and I'll be a little bit upset if not. So Rae had 4,000. Whoa, that's a huge difference. Rae had 4,000 attack, right? Like, I'm gonna have to get a screenshot posted up here. So I'll probably post a screenshot somewhere around here of what Rae's attack actually was. But that's a big difference. That's actually significantly larger than what I expected it to be. Where Biggins is 4,700. So he has an extra 700 attack just from having an extra, what, 2 or 300 base attack. That's a big, big difference. Okay, so I definitely like that a lot. I don't know if I'll be able to use those speed boots in actual play, these attack percent boots, just because I'm not actually speed tuned with them. But let's jump in here and see how hard he hits in the arena. So we just compared the arena with Rae. So let's see how hard he hits in the arena. And then we'll jump into Doom Tower and see how hard he hits there. So he's pretty similar, though, that he does have CC abilities on his abilities. So you could build him out that way as well. If I do end up using Big Un, I'll definitely make some guides and some more information after I finish testing him out. He'll probably be in my Platinum offense this weekend. But yeah, I'll make some more information once I finish testing him out. So we use this A2 ability on 1x speed. Let's see how hard it hits. So 70k, 76k. All right, well, that's a significantly difference. 72k on that. Let's redo this one more time. Now, Rae's A3 may have been a solid comparison as well, because her A2 does do more damage whenever they have debuffs applied. And I'm not for sure if the multiplier on the website is including the debuffs being applied or not, to be honest. But let's see what he hits for one more time from this A2 ability. So 72k, only 29k on Tormund. So not incredible, to be honest. A decent chunk away from Rae's damage. What I'll do is I'll swap them out, and let's try Biggin's A3 here, okay? We'll try his A3 ability and then his A1 as well. Actually, let's just do his A3. Well, actually, let's pull up this Rae, this multiplier. So similar, let's see what his A3 hits like. Test some stuff out, because I don't want to spam all my arena tokens necessarily, but I also want to get a good idea of, like, is Rae just more of a one-off nuker, or is Big Un a solid option in general? So his A3 ability, which appears to have a pretty low multiplier, okay, it's a double hit ability, so that's actually not too bad. Okay, so it is a lower multiplier than this one, but each one I think hit for close to 30k, 20k or so, like that, something like that. He did a total of 163,000 damage. Go ahead and jump into the Doom Tower, because this is where we actually tested Rae's damage. Stage 1 on the Doom Tower. So we got a good idea of what Rae can do already as far as her different abilities. And the arena is not going to be an amazing place to test this out necessarily. Rae does have her benefits, though, where she does, on her A3 ability, she removes the enemy's buffs, or has a chance to remove the enemy's buffs, assuming her accuracy is good and everything like that. So she does have some extra benefits that maybe Big Un doesn't have. But what I'm looking for is just a pure damage output. How much can they do? Who's better in the long run? So I'm definitely perfectly fine with using Rae, but I kind of would like to use Big Un, to be honest. Let's see. His A2 ability is 63, 75, so significantly lower, but still similar results. So we'll call it 70k on his A2. And then let's look at his A1 ability. So Rae's A1 ability was about 45,000, somewhere in that general ballpark of a range. And then Big Un, his is probably going to be higher. So I got to watch this closely, because it should be 2 hits. So first hit, 32k, and then AoE for 40k. So on that target specifically was 32. So we'll just call it 30 plus 40. So he's done about 70,000 damage. The AoE part was 40,000, and Rae's was 45,000 total. So definitely a better champion for that ability specifically. They're not both AoEs. The first hit was, what, 40,000, somewhere around there, at 32,000 maybe, and the second one was 40. So overall, the damage is higher, but it just depends, I guess, on what your goal is. He is a good champion to definitely clear out the waves, it seems. Let's look at the A3 ability. So we had Rae bringing in about 75,000 damage total for the A3 ability. Let me get a calculator pulled up so I can hopefully capture these numbers pretty quickly when they pop up. So we're looking at 24, 29, so 30 and 30. So about 60,000 damage. And Rae's A3 did about 75,000 damage. So if Rae's A3, so these are the notes I pulled up. This up here is Rae's abilities. Her A2 did about 102,000. Her A3 did about 75,000. And her A1 did about 45,000. In Arena, she did her A2, 115,000. Big Un did 72,000. And Big Un's A2 was 70,000 here. And his A1 was also about the same, but the first hit is single target, the second one's AoE. And then his A3 appeared to be about 60,000, I think. It was 30,000 hits. So when you're comparing them straight out as like champion to champion, I'm honestly thinking that Rae is going to be the better nuker. I don't know if I can make an argument to use Big Un. So 37 there, 33. So yeah, 60, almost 70,000, but Rae is hitting that 75,000 mark as well. So Big Un does have a higher base attack, a higher base speed, and overall higher base stats. Now, when you look at these numbers, obviously there's not a huge discrepancy between them. Okay, so you have Big Un doing 72k with his A2 ability, and then you have Rae doing 120,000 with her A2 ability. So as far as like one-off nuke champions, I'm gonna have to probably go with Rae here. I don't know if there's any way I can make an argument for Big Un unless your Dark Elf accessories and your Dark Elf jewelry and stuff like that was significantly better than your Ogre Tribe accessories. And that's something I'm gonna have to consider, because if I can gear him out to surpass Rae, in that case, I may do that. Second thing is Rae brings decreased defense. Her A2 ability does require the target to have debuffs already applied on them in order to do this extra damage. And then her A3 ability has a chance to remove buffs. So her kit is a little bit different than Big Un's. Big Un has no debuff on his ability 1. Also, keep in mind, he's not fully booked. So that would change things a little bit. He could get some extra damage from this A3 ability. So to keep in mind, his A2 is fully booked though. So we are seeing the max damage from that. And his A3, his A1 and A3 were both very close to Rae. And I got a feeling if this and this was actually booked, that would actually do more than Rae's overall. So what I'm thinking is that as far as a one-turn nuker for the arena, Rae may or may not be the better option. If you can speed tune Big Un easier, he may be the best option, but it just really depends on your accessories, in my opinion. But as far as his kit, he has a stun chance plus a decreased accuracy, which is incredible in the arena, incredible in anywhere you're having a chance of getting debuffs placed on your champion. So very, very solid there. His A3 ability has a decreased speed that's placed, a 30% chance of placing the decreased speed, and decreases turn meter by 25%. So this actually has a lot of benefit and a lot of value when it comes to things like arena. However, you do need to consider building him with some accuracy at least. So you keep that in mind. If you're going to build him with accuracy, that's going to take away a little bit of the attack that you could build him for, but that's definitely a possibility. And if you're using him for something like the arena, that 25% turn meter decrease is actually pretty big, as well as this decreased speed, especially if you're going first and your team is already pretty fast and you're hitting in the first turn. You're going to be able to cycle around even quicker, get everything like that place. It's going to mess up their speed tune. It's going to do very well. And this is great for all dungeons, all areas of the game in general, to be honest. Granted, it is on a long cooldown at 5 turns when fully booked. Still a very good ability. Rae's kit's great. Big Un's kit's great. I think honestly what it comes down to is whose debuffs you need the most. I'm going to play around with Big Un some more, test him out, maybe try him out for the arena this weekend, but I don't want to force myself into using him just because he's a new champion. He's a new champion. I really want to use him, but I don't want to get into the mindset that I have to use him just because he's a new champion. But when it comes to Rae and Big Un, I think it just really depends on which debuffs you're looking for and how your jewelry looks based on the two different factions. I got a feeling most people are going to have better Dark Elf accessories, but those Dark Elf accessories may be used by more champions. So let me know, guys, down in the comment section below, who do you think is better, Rae or Big Un, and who would you pick? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I should have covered extra? Let me know. I might start doing more of these champion comparison videos side by side using essentially this exact same gear. And yeah, let me know if you guys learned anything from this. Hopefully it helps you out. Thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys in the next video.